Hey guys, welcome to South Park Deep Dives presented by 5000 Miles. In this video series, we will explore the histories of some of our favorite but lesser known South Park characters. For this first video, we have chosen the character known as the Old Farmer, so let's dive in. The first time we meet the Old Farmer is in Season 5, Episode 14, Butters' very own episode, in which Mrs. Stotch tries to drown Butters by rolling their car into the water. Butters survives and is forced to find his way home, where he meets the old farmer who is working on a car at an old gas station. He's holding an old rag and polishing an engine block. Butters asks him for a ride, but the old farmer replies that his wife has taken the car to Estes Park for the weekend. He gives Butters directions back to South Park, but warns him about the road's gruesome history. As he tells it,
6 years ago, a group of campers went up there and got lost. Had to eat each other to stay alive. Used to be the way to the O'Reilly house. He butchered over 50 children and kept their bodies in his cellar. But you should find an old bridge about halfway up. That bridge is cursed, you know. They built it with the bones of 200 Chinese laborers who were massacred in 34. Yeah, a lot of history on that rod.
This whole scene is meant to be a reference to the 1989 movie Pet Sematary. In the movie, there's a character named Judd Crandall who warns his neighbors that the road near their house is dangerous due to speeding trucks. The voice and appearance of the old farmer in South Park is based directly on that character.
I live just across the road. You want to watch out for that road.
Fun fact, in the movie, Judd Crandall is played by Fred Gwynne, who also portrayed Herman Munster. Once the old farmer's character is established, we see him pop up from time to time, to warn about ominous pasts or give foreboding advice to the main characters. Oddly enough, his next appearance would be only 2 episodes later in Season 6, Episode 2, Aspen. In Aspen, Stan is forced into a ski race against Tad to save the youth center, and the race is set to be on the K-13, the most dangerous run in all of America. Since this episode is a parody of 80s ski movies, it's only fitting that the old farmer would pop in to warn Stan about the K-13. Also, for some reason, he is still holding the rag and the engine block. He tells Stan the history of the K-13, which is as follows.
The K-13? You don't want to go down that run. That run's got a history. 35 people have died going down it, and some say you can still see their ghosts up there. That was on that very ski run that a group of students were killed by a wolf boy who escaped from the mental institution. You see, that ski run was once a burial ground to a tribe of vampire Wichita Indians who ate the flesh of children with no eyes. Yeah, a lot of history on that ski run.
After the Aspen episode, it would be 3 seasons until we would see the old farmer again. In Season 9, Episode 9, Margarine, Butters fakes his own death, which leads to another direct parody of the movie Pet Sematary, and of course, another appearance by the old farmer. If you haven't seen Pet Sematary, the story is simple. Father loses son, father learns the old Indian burial ground can bring things back to life, father is warned not to try it, father tries it anyway. In Margarine, the old farmer shows up to warn Mr. Stotch not to bury his son in the Indian burial ground, but of course, Butters' dad tries it anyway.
Don't bury your son's body at the Indian burial ground, Stotch. The one that's right up over there, behind the Anderson's barn. Sometimes, dead is better.
Well, sometimes, that is better.
This episode is a turning point for the old farmer because it is the first time he is involved in the plot and not simply used as a throwaway gag. He also got a slight character redesign in that he is no longer holding the rag in the engine block. But unfortunately, he would not have another speaking role for quite some time. In fact, it almost seemed like the show forgot about the old farmer, that is until Season 16. In Season 16, Episode 10, Insecurity, some of the men are at Skeeter's discussing the UPS man having sex with Kyle's mom. The old farmer overhears their conversation and warns them about the perils of home delivery and adultery.
Yeah, there's a price to be paid with having things convenient. Used to be, a man had to go to the store to buy himself a pitcher of milk.
This is an interesting direction for the episode to take because it uses the old farmer's character to add a spooky element to the episode, reinforcing the men's fears about their wives. It also builds on the sage advice aspect of the old farmer's character. This is a great episode for the old farmer because he has more dialogue than any other episode. He also has a new pair of overalls and gets to deliver an extremely deadpan joke about pasteurized milk.
She took off her clothes and asked the milkman to fill the tub with milk. The milkman said, "You want that milk pasteurized?" And the blonde replied, "No, just up to my boobs. I can splash it in my eyes."
In Season 20, Episode 3, The Damned, Randy seeks out the old farmer to ask him about member berries. Here we see the old farmer running a place called Hillvale Farm. He remarks about how popular member berries are and says he had to get rid of his pumpkins, onions, and peppers just to make room for them. It's interesting to note that despite being called Old Farmer, that this is the first and last time we see him actually on or around a farm. There are other farmers they could have used for this scene, but using the old farmer adds a feeling of unease to the whole member berry storyline. And finally, we have his most recent appearance in Season 23, Episode 5, Tegrity Farms Halloween Special. At the Denver Museum of Nature and Science, we see Butters trying to collect all the museum exhibit stamps. However, the old farmer appears and warns him against collecting the mummy stamp.
You don't want to put that stamp in your sticker book. Nobody puts that stamp in their sticker book.
But this is my last one!
It's got a curse on it. Ancient love curse, not fit for any child. You can look at the mummy all you like, but you don't want that stamp in your sticker book.
Also, the old farmer is wearing a museum uniform, so it's safe to say that he works there in some capacity. I like to think he got the job at the museum because he has so much rich historical knowledge about the surrounding Colorado area. This episode does a great job of bringing the old farmer's character full circle. He made his debut talking to Butters about a cursed bridge, and here we find him 18 seasons later popping up randomly to warn Butters about a cursed mummy stamp. Who would have thought that a character who started out as an obscure reference would get so much screen time? And who knows what spooky appearances he'll make in the future. So that concludes this deep dive. Let me know in the comments what characters you'd like to see covered in future deep dives. And remember, sometimes dead is better.